Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Moss Pawn & Gun, and today we've got another 5 Guns video for you. We're going to be talking about a century worth of firearms technology in the 22 long rifle takedown realm. So this is 5 takedown 22s. This particular concept was actually kind of difficult to put together because there's not a ton of designs out there that lend themselves to being put into a takedown configuration. So why would you want a takedown firearm? Why bother?
Well, I mean, takedowns are basically a full-size rifle that you can take apart and pack into a very small package.
Absolutely.
That's the essential idea. They're easy for backpacking. I mean, you can just pack them up. They're easily concealable, and you can put it together very quickly when you need it.
Yep, it's a great survival option for people that might want a takedown rifle that they can, like for instance, I'm not trying to get ahead of ourselves, but with this Marlin papoose here, and you know, a few of the other options, they have like a little pouch you can put them in, and that's a nice compact size that you can stuff on a 4-wheeler and tie it down, or put it in your backpack along with your 3-day pack for your hiking, you're out and about. Or let's just say you want a backup gun to throw in your boat in case your boat gets, I don't know, shoaled somewhere and you need to go hunt some food or something. Having a takedown is a nice option for survival use, and that's particularly where they lend themselves well. Now, one of the first takedown rifles that I know of that's 22 that was created was an invention by John Browning in 1890. It was the Winchester Model 1890. It was a pump-action rifle. Okay, we've got a Model 62 here. This is my personal Model 62. It is a John Browning design at heart. Now, I don't know if the 62 necessarily was directly, had his hand involved in it, but the original 1890 did. And this rifle is very similar to the 1890. It's got a thumb screw right here on the left side of the receiver. And I've had this gun for over 20 years.
It's been a while.
So I've had it apart a ton. So you see the rifle just breaks into 2 main components here, and it can be put back together relatively quickly. Some of you folks that are familiar with this gun, you know that the 62s were used in the carnivals. So you could go by and try to win a teddy bear with a gallery gun, and that's where it got its name as a gallery gun.
Boys and girls, you know, used to shoot real guns at the carnivals.
Right. But the interesting thing about the gallery guns, you know, is the fact that it's odd to see an actual gallery gun with matching numbers because they were takedowns. What a lot of the guys that run in the carnival, you know, lanes would do is they would take, you know, 5 or 6 of their gallery guns they had on the line there, and they would just break them down and clean them, and then sometimes they would mismatch the parts putting them back together because they wouldn't care. And for one, think about it, if you were a gallery gun operator, you had a booth, you didn't want people to win teddy bears, so sometimes it was common for them to like beat the sights over and make them hit to the side a little bit, or sometimes they would just mismatch the parts on purpose so the guns wouldn't be as accurate, at least in their eyes.
Pretty much.
A savvy shooter who was a good shooter could take a gallery gun and go tink, and then go, oh, okay, I see what he did. And you know, the sights are hitting, you know, 9 inches to the right, and then they would just cheat their aim over, and then they could hit the cans and win the teddy bear. So,
well, something also neat about these guns is they were copied by a lot of companies throughout the years. I mean, up until, you know, the mid 50s and 60s, you know, you had like Sears and Roebuck. I mean, Savage made them. I mean, they pretty much all the major companies made a copy or something very similar to this style of gun.
It's probably one of the most like recognizable and American firearms in existence. I mean, a lot of folks that grew up in that era are very familiar with gallery guns. I love my Model 62. I've had that gun a long time.
Well,
I shoot a lot.
You've got 2 of them too.
I do have 2 of them now. They're chambered in 22 short, so maybe a wild card there to some degree, but it is a takedown. Moving down the line here, moving on to the Browning here. Now this is a John Browning design as well. This is the takedown.
This is the Browning ATD, and these guns are pretty special. They were designed in 1914. So a very, very early design of a takedown 22, and you know, these were made, you know, up until
70s.
Well, mid 70s they switched over from production at the Belgian FN plant over to the Japanese plant in Moroku, where a lot of the you know, mid 70s and 80s firearms were produced. I mean, I've got a beautiful BPS that was produced in, you know, Moroku.
They're turning out some awesome guns, guys. They really
these
were.
guns are pretty interesting because they're bottom eject, so they feed and eject from the bottom, and they actually feed from the magazine tube inside the stock, which is kind of unique.
Yeah, you load it here.
You load it right here. You just pull the tube, load the rounds in here, push the tube in, spring loads, and then you just cock the gun right here, and then it ejects. But to take it down, basically just pull the bolt to the rear, and most takedowns go to the left. They have just interrupted threads on the barrel extension here, and they just drop back in place and click back together.
I'll tell you what, back in the day, if your grandpa or dad, or you were a kid and you owned one of these Brownings, you were some business.
Well,
because those things are awesome guns, and they weren't necessarily cheap.
No, I mean, I bought this one here at Moss, and it came in, and I just couldn't turn it down. This is a mid-60s. It's a pre-68, so the serial number is actually on the barrel instead of on the receiver, and it has this nice, beautiful engraving on the receiver. It's what would be considered a blonde model. And I just love this gun. I was actually afraid to shoot it at first. I just wanted to put it in the safe and just let it kind of sit there. But
yep. And it's weird, going back through this video concept and trying to find examples of takedowns, it's actually kind of difficult because there's not a ton of them out there. I mean, guys, we're encompassing 100 years of firearms technology to find takedowns we can show you. So moving down the ladder here, we've got a Henry survival rifle. Now, this firearm is produced by Henry Repeating Arms, and it is a very excellent gun that is a relatively faithful gun compared to the original AR-7. So some of you guys are familiar with Eugene Stoner. He made a very popular gun. Okay, you guys probably familiar with the AR-15, M16. So Eugene Stoner, a lot of people don't know, designed this gun. Okay, this firearm entered service in the U.S. Air Force in the mid-50s. Okay, pilots carried them and they used them as a survival gun. All right, one of the interesting things about the survival gun, this particular rifle will break down into its stock, and when it's broke down into its base configuration, it's supposed to float. So if it gets dropped in the water, now granted, you're not going to use it as a life preserver, but it definitely beats it getting down to the bottom of the drink. It'll float long enough for you to grab it back out of the water and recover the rifle. Pilots were issued these things, and also the Israelis used the AR-7 to great effect. They had a reinforced receiver on the original AR-7, and they had a special hardball round that they developed that was high pressure and could penetrate Kevlar vests, could penetrate Kevlar helmets. They wanted a .22 rifle they could issue as a survival weapon to, whoever needed it, that they could dispatch. If they were in a survival situation, they could dispatch a soldier behind enemy lines and take his firearm and try to fight on. So it's interesting that they were, in military service, the Israelis were using, those AR-7s to quite effect. So you can see here, this is the Henry survival gun that's broken down, and that's nice. That's a nice complete package. And in theory, they're supposed to float.
Well, from what I've seen, like the AR-7s, they'll float, but they float down. Kind of like that, they'll kind of bob like a bobber.
So basically, Armalite sold the design to Charter. You guys probably remember those
Put the stock on backwards. There you go.
That's all right.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, you guys probably remember the Explorer pistols and things that Charter was putting out. It looks like a crazy Mad Max looking Mauser broom handle, but it looks like an AR-7. In fact, this receiver looks very much like it belongs on like an Explorer pistol, and that's because they were taking AR-7 design and made a pistol out of it.
Yeah.
Well, Charter then sold the rights to Henry, and then Henry's been producing it ever since.
Something neat too, you've got an extra magazine in the buttstock, so drop 2 magazines in here and have one in the receiver of the gun, so you can have a total of 3 mags fully loaded.
Yep. And that's something the original didn't offer.
Yep.
So you can have the extra magazines in there, and they do come with 2 mags when you buy them. I'm glad that Henry has decided to kind of keep this gun going, because it's an awesome firearm. It's great for like a bug out bag, or if you just want to have it on your boat or in your hunting kit or something like that. It's a great firearm, and they're very reasonably priced. It's a semi-auto that can be had for pretty reasonable money. So that makes it, in my opinion, a very attractive option to cheat that bolt back.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Always got to pull the bolt backs on takedowns.
Yep, that's it.
That's it.
Little boss just threads on, and there it is. So that is an excellent firearm. And kind of moving down the line here, you guys are probably familiar with the Marlin Model 60. The Model 60, until the Ruger 1022 came along, the Model 60 was probably the most prolific and common semi-automatic .22 rifle on planet Earth.
Everybody
they made
owned
millions of them.
Well, it's kind of like Marlin 336s. I mean, there are millions upon millions of those rifles in circulation, the Marlin 3030s and the Model 60s. I can't tell you how many countless rounds we've put down range with your Model 60.
I've shot thousands of rounds through Model 60, and Marlin still makes the Model 60. I don't know if Marlin still makes the Papoose, which is a takedown version of the Model 60. This is not a very common gun. You don't really see them much anymore. I don't think they make them anymore. I could be wrong, don't hold me to that. If they did stop making them recently, it's been very recently, because I know that for a while we had a few new ones here in the shop, and you know, it's just a takedown. It's got a little flat on the barrel shank here and a little threaded boss, threaded receiver, and that's it. It takes down into this basic configuration. Of course, because it's a takedown, you don't have a tubular magazine that you would have on a traditional Marlin Model 60. You have a magazine, actual, you know, that inserts in the bottom of the gun.
A little stick mag.
Well,
one of the cool things about these Papooses too is they are very, very cool hosts for building a integrally suppressed 22 rifle.
You're not going to find a cheaper host to build an integral suppressed 22. That's very true, because
one thing, you don't have a stock to worry about on the front, so you can pretty much just have a full diameter tube.
So you could take this barrel and you could port it and make yourself some type of a tube and baffle system. You could even go with like an old school, like boot grommet style suppressor, like some of the old Max suppressors, the old Psionic scans. You could definitely make a suppressed Papoose that would be awesome, almost like a Delisle, British Delisle carbine or something like that, where you've got that just long forend. I thought about doing something like that. This is a particularly clean example that I own. I don't really want to ruin it.
It even has the inspector's stickers still on the stock.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that? You know, targeted by Phil B at Marlin.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. All right. But anyway, that's a neat gun. But again, moving along the line now, the takedown realm is something that hasn't really gained quite the popularity that you would think until the Ruger 1022 takedown came out. Now, this is a pretty dang awesome gun, okay? The Ruger 1022 takedown, it functions and works just like a 1022 that you're used to seeing. You can get your BX25 sticks for it, but, oh yeah, it's in a takedown. You notice that this particular gun is wearing a Silencer Co. Sparrow. All right, so this one's threaded. It comes with a factory flash hider, all right? Stainless steel, which is great for being out in the weather. I bought this exact gun. I've got this exact configuration and everything, but it's threaded 1/2x28, so you can run yourself a suppressor on it.
And what's neat too about the Ruger takedowns is, you know, they make the Charger takedown pistols. And, you know, we showed you guys one of those in the recent gun tour. Now, you could SBR your 1022 receiver and buy yourself a Charter forend, and there you go. You got a nice little short barrel.
And they're threaded too.
They're threaded as well. You can drop your suppressor on there, and you have you a really, really compact package.
Another option, if you want to take a 1022 and make it the ultimate short gun, you could take a 1022 and SBR it, okay? SBR the receiver, and then take the short barrel and then make an integral suppressor out of that. So then your can basically dips right onto the edge of the receiver, and you got a little short gun that, suppressor and all, is about that long.
I'm not familiar with the actual takedown system, if like a standard integrally suppressed barrel will fit right in there or not, if it'll drop in and be able to be timed, but, you know, well, no, the shank's longer. You have to have a custom barrel, but I'm sure there's companies out there making integrally suppressed barrels set up for the 1022 takedown.
Oh yeah, there's some companies that are making replacement furniture for them. I know Hogue has been working hard on getting some stuff out for this particular gun. ATI also, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but that's fine. ATI has been working on a couple of takedown stocks that are going to be awesome. I'm not sure if they're out yet, but Hogue and ATI both are doing some great stocks for these things. So there is some aftermarket support for the Ruger takedowns now. That's pretty cool. You can get a variety of different things. Ruger 1022s, what makes them so popular is that they lend themselves to customization, and that you can put thousands, literally, and I say that with an S, thousands of dollars into a 1022 if you want to.
Well, he knows that from personal experience, because I've got a 1022 where the only original component is the bolt. I mean, it has a stainless steel receiver.
I mean, you're talking blueprinted action, everything.
And stainless steel receiver, blueprinted action. The barrel's shortened and threaded into the receiver. I've got a Phasian stock. I mean, Leupold glass on top of it. I mean, I've got $2,500 on that rig, but it shoots 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch groups at 50 yards all day long.
Yeah, pretty dang accurate gun.
It's a silhouette gun, so I mean, it serves that purpose. But then, we've got basic 1022s too. I mean, I've been longing for a nice like 70s era, just wood stock, just
I've got
nice
one.
blue. Yeah,
I've got a 72.
I know. I've been wanting to steal it from you for a while.
Yeah, I know. 1022 is one of those things. They're so easy to collect, and I tell you, people that own a 1022 mostly own more than one. It's impossible to own only one 1022. And for the longest time, that's how I was with Marlin Model 60s. I had a few Model 60s at one point. After a while, though, magazine fed is really where it's at. 1022 really revolutionized the way people view a rimfire semi-auto 22.
Well, especially when the BX-15s and the 25s came along. For a long time, I mean, Ruger, they didn't produce anything but a 10-shot mag. You had to go third party to get high-capacity
Bill
mags,
Ruger is partially why we're to blame, or why we have all this crap with this 10-round crap. Bill Ruger started that 10-round crap, okay? I don't know why. He just had that attitude. But Ruger's leadership now, they get it. So 25-round mags, pretty cool.
They've changed because you can look at the products they're putting out now and see that the company has changed.
Exactly. So Bill Ruger, I don't want to toot the horn longer than I have to, but Bill Ruger was a genius. He really did have some awesome designs. He was a brilliant engineer. I mean, guys, he took like Savage lever action rifles and converted them into semi-automatics. So the guy was not dumb by any stretch of the imagination. I would never want to say anything negative against Mr. Ruger because he's, was definitely a brilliant guy. We have to have a wild card in every Five Guns video. So you see that we kind of went through the years there and sort of tried to go somewhat chronologically here. This is a Chiappa Little Badger. All right, this gun is suppressed, has a threaded barrel, 1/2 x 28.
Well, it's not suppressed from the factory, but...
No, of course not. But it's not exactly a takedown, but it does fold in half.
Yeah.
That's close, right?
It's close. I mean, it's the closest wild card we have. I mean, we can only, between Eric and I and Ray, we can only think of about 6 takedowns that are in existence, really. I mean,
there's probably others. I mean, there's a few Savage offerings that were put out early on. I do have a Savage takedown at the house. I don't remember the model number, but it's not common, so I didn't really choose to really show it off. But there are some other takedowns that are out there we didn't cover, but these are the 5 that, when someone thinks of a takedown 22, these are most certainly the guns they're thinking of, beyond a shadow of a doubt, especially the Ruger. They're so popular now. Ruger is selling these things like hotcakes.
Yeah, we got one of these in 22 long rifle and one in 22 mag in stock.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean,
that's a neat survival option where you got, that gun is under $200.
Well, so, wire stock, and then you got a little spot to put your, 22 long rifle over here. It's maybe some hollow points, and you got some rat shot on this side.
Yep. So that still fits the takedown niche a little bit, and there's our number 6 wild card. So guys, we really, appreciate you watching these videos. We hope you enjoyed today's Five Guns video. Stay tuned. We have more Five Guns on the way, more firearms facts, gun gripes, gun reviews, gunsmithing stuff with Ray. We'll have more of Ray in the videos. Guys, we have so much going on as a YouTube channel. We're touching on so many different subjects, and just really trying to fully encompass, not only what it means to be a gun owner, but what it means to be an educated gun owner, and knowing about where the popular gun designs that you like, where they come from, who designed them, how they came to be. It's just really interesting. For me, one of the interesting things about being in the firearms world is knowing that purpose-built guns and why they were built. That whole thing just fascinates me, is like the engineering that goes behind necessity. Is the mother of invention.
Well, most of the new gun designs, quote, new gun designs that you see out there on the market have a root in history.
And sometimes are just copies of something that's already out there, which we'll get on that in some future videos. But guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time, and see you.